Hey guys, college football update, week 10, tons to cover. I'm going to try and keep it to less than 10 minutes if I can, but there's so much to go over. I'll do the best I can. As always, we're going to start with Notre Dame and then we'll move on from there. So let's start with Notre Dame Northwestern. Notre Dame moves to 9-0, beating Northwestern 31-21. The final score really didn't indicate how Notre Dame had played in that game. They were up 7-0. Had the ability to go in and score a pass interference penalty in the end zone, offensive pass interference, which happens almost every game against Notre Dame for some reason. I'm not complaining; it's just odd. Apparently, it's the way that Notre Dame coaches it. I don't know because it happens a lot. I'm not going to say every game, but in a season, it happens at least 3 times, which is just odd. I mean, it must be a coaching failure for that to happen all the time. But anyway, that pushed it back. They missed a field goal. And then they got Northwestern back in the game. Those are the kind of things that you do. So it was tied 7-7 at half. Notre Dame had an incredible third quarter, went up 24-7. Allowed Northwestern to come back and score. Northwestern blocked a punt, scored again, came within 3 points, 24-21. And then Ian Book, just masterful job coming down the field to have to kind of seal the victory and go up 31-21. So, if you really look at the box score, Notre Dame had, I believe, 560 yards. Northwestern had about 250. So from a yardage perspective, I mean, Notre Dame was dominant in that game and really pretty much dominant if you actually watched it. Northwestern, you can fault them. You can say, oh, they're 5-4, but the reality is they're leading their division. So, do I think they're a phenomenal team? No, but I think Northwestern's a tough out, and I think it was definitely a good win for Notre Dame. I mean, look, I said at the beginning of the year I thought Notre Dame was going to lose 3 games, so they're 9-0 at this point. I don't foresee them losing the last 3 games that they have. So, the hope is, at least for me, that they win out. So, the years that I can think of in my lifetime, Notre Dame has been 9-0 3 times, 4 times, twice in the Brian Kelly era. This year, 2012, 1993, prior to that, and 1988. So all these people that are always like, oh, Notre Dame's always good. Really? Because teams that are always good are usually undefeated at this point in the season. So I'm telling you, I'm living the dream. This is just fantastic. So at least for me anyway, let's hope that they can take care of business against Florida State this weekend. We'll see. I think Florida State is terrible. So if they lose to them, I'll be highly upset. Let's move on to Bama LSU. Look, I said it, and I've said it all year long. I do not believe Alabama can be beaten. I think it's possible. Clemson could give them a game. But do I think that Notre Dame could beat them? No, I don't. I don't think Notre Dame's offensive line could compete against Alabama's defensive line. And I just don't think it's going to happen. Again, Clemson, it's possible, right? I mean, Clemson is absolutely, 77-16 against Louisville. I mean, wow. I mean, they're just destroying people at this point. So they're really the only team that's close to them. Michigan's got an incredible defense, and Michigan's certainly coming on. I think if Notre Dame were to play Michigan tomorrow, they probably would lose. Michigan's got an opportunity there. I mean, defenses win championships, so I think it's possible. But I'm still, I'm not faulting LSU for losing to Alabama at all. I mean, I'm telling you, I think Alabama is that good. I just do not see anybody beating them. I didn't see LSU having any semblance of an offense, and they didn't. And I still, I kind of thought that going in. So it's certainly not shocking that they were not able to play against them. But again, it's Alabama. I just don't see them. I don't see them getting beat. So, good win for them, 29-0, just completely dominant. So we'll see what happens there. Georgia against Kentucky. It's funny, if you followed recruiting, everybody's like, oh, well, Kentucky's got all kinds of talent now. Well, they do comparatively to what Kentucky normally has, but it's a lot of 3-star talent. It's a lot of high 3-star and then middling 3-star talent, which for Kentucky is definitely a lot more than they normally have. They have 4 stars sprinkled in, I get it. But you're playing Georgia. I mean, Georgia has 4 and 5-star talent, and a lot of 5 stars in there sprinkled in too. So when I say that, it just means they have more athleticism. They're bigger on both sides of the ball in the offensive and defensive line, and it showed. They were completely pushing them off the ball in the second half, and they just kind of took the game away with their running game. So not surprised at all. A little bit saddened for Kentucky. I mean, I think that was one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game in their football history, at least certainly in the last 40 years or so. So kind of a shame for them, but it's still going to be a heck of a year for Kentucky. Could have been incredible, but they're building. But they've got to get even better talent than they've been able to get if they really want to compete and continue to compete in the SEC East, and especially with somebody like Dan Mullen building Florida back up. It's going to be challenging for them to be able to continue doing it. So, again, hey, 7 or 8 wins for Kentucky year in, year out, be happy with that. If you're a Kentucky fan, that's way more than you normally do. So, be really happy with that. But, unfortunately couldn't pull it out against Georgia for them. West Virginia, Texas. So I did watch that game. I had it going on. Again, side TV action. Incredible ending to the game. I'll give you that. Here's my thing, though. I mean, it's a classic Big 12 game. I mean, I watched the West Virginia-Texas game, and I watched the Oklahoma-Texas Tech game. I mean, there's their defense. I mean, it's fun to watch, I guess, but I mean, there's really nothing happening. I mean, they're just chucking it all over the place. When I say nothing happening, I'm saying defensively. There's nothing. I mean, there's just wide open, gaping holes everywhere. It's funny because I get a lot of people that ask me, they're like, well, what's the difference between the NFL and college? Why do you like the NFL or college so much better than the NFL? So the big difference between the NFL and college is space. It's space on the field. The NFL, you have to throw it into perfectly tight windows. There's little holes where you can run through. A lot of people like that. I don't particularly love that brand of football because to me it's just not as exciting. I understand you have to be better and you have to have perfection and everything else. I understand that. But I feel like life is too much like that anyway. In college football, there's some error that leads into just exciting moments. My problem is that the Big 12 is all space. So I like a little bit of space in my college game, but the NFL is all space. It's just wide open, which just makes it, quite honestly, just an offensive game, and there's really no defense to be played. So not as exciting to me, but I did like watching the West Virginia Texas game. I mean, it was cool to watch it at the end, but just not really my brand of football. Pitt beat Virginia. Listen, Pitt is 5-4. Two of their losses, I think they lost to Clemson as well, but two of their other losses are to Notre Dame and UCF. Okay, so 3 of the top 15 teams in the country, UCF being number 12, and they might be even higher than that. They might be in the top 10 now. So 5-4, yes, but shockingly, their only other losses to North Carolina. I have no idea how they could have lost to that team because North Carolina's only win is against Pitt, so it's really weird. But Pitt's not nearly as bad as people think, so great win for them. Did a similar game plan that they did against Notre Dame. They just kind of held the ball, played great defense, and just did what they needed to do to win. So 23-13 win for Pitt, good win for them. Kansas finally fires David Beatty. Listen, I've talked about this before. I'm not going to go into it, but here's my thought. I think Kansas has many options to hire a head coach, and I've talked about all of these head coaches in previous podcasts. Lance Leipold at Buffalo, great. Let's see, Chris Creighton at Eastern Michigan, Skip Holtz at Louisiana Tech, and Matt Wells at Utah State. Every one of the programs that I mentioned are loser programs. Okay, you do not win at these programs. And Leipold is 8-1. Creighton is 5-5. Skip Holtz is 6-3. And Matt Wells is 8-1. And actually, I'm going to throw one more in there. Bill Clark at UAB, he's 8-1. Again, none of these programs normally win. So if you want somebody to build a program, you need to bring somebody in. Any one of these guys could do it at Kansas. Way better than David Beatty could have done it because David Beatty was never a head coach. He never ran a program. He was the wide receiver coach at Texas A&M when they hired him. A ridiculously stupid hire. So they need to get a guy who has built a program, and this guy could do it. We had an Ask Roger question this week, so let's get into it. Basically, it was about grad rates, and does this make college football a joke? No, and let me explain why. So depending on which website you look at, and I get it, there's a ton of different websites, ton of different things you can look at to see which programs have the best graduation rates and how they predict them and what analysis they use and everything else. But let me give you some programs that are in the top 10, okay? And here's one that is either number 2, 3, or 4, or maybe even in the top 5, depending on where you look. And you're going to be surprised by it. The University of South Carolina, okay? South Carolina is in the top 5 in most of the websites that you look at for graduation rate. You would never think that, but South Carolina is in the top 5. You've got your Notre Dame is in the top 5, Stanford is there, all of these other, Duke, Wake Forest, Rice. I mean, a lot of the ones that you would think would be there are there. Boston College is also there. By the way, Boston College is 6-2. South Carolina's 5-3, Notre Dame's 9-0, Stanford's 5-4. These teams are winning. They're not complete loser programs. Rice is atrocious. I'll give you that. And there are some that are terrible. Vanderbilt's 4-5. They're not exactly phenomenal, but they're not completely awful either. So, no, I don't think it makes it a joke. I would also tell you this. Alabama, again, it depends on which year you're looking at, but the site that I saw, and it could have been last year, it could have been 2 years ago, it really doesn't matter, had an 84% graduation rate. Alabama had an 84% graduation rate. You know who had a 53% graduation rate? The University of Georgia. Again, it was the site that I was looking at. It doesn't even matter if that was 5 years ago. If you're graduating half of your players, that's pathetic. That is not good. I mean, that's not something you should be proud of. So let me tell you something. Before everybody gets on Alabama's case and says, oh, Alabama this, Alabama that, 84% graduation rate. Again, Notre Dame has like a 98%, Duke has a 99%, whatever it is. I get it. But, hey, they're doing everything right. And it's kind of unfortunate for all of us who want to hate them, but let me tell you something. They're doing everything right, at least as far as I can see. So that's my update for the week. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. Talk to you soon.